welcome back to Law and Crime. We are watching 3 live trials right now on the Law and Crime Network. 2 trials out of Florida. It's Nicole Nachman's trial. She's accused of killing her mother and stepfather, but claimed she heard voices that told her to do it. She's looking at first-degree murder charges for both of those. The defense is raising an insanity defense. It's also day 3 for Grant Amato's trial. This one also out of Florida. He's accused of killing his mom, dad, and brother, and the motive there is allegedly money. His 3 family members were found shot to death in their home. Amato was allegedly taking money from his parents and his brother to pay an internet cam girlfriend that he thought he was in a big relationship with. You can watch both of those trials live right now on lawandcrime.com. Meantime, we're going to go live to the Rosenbaum's trial in Georgia. We have the forensic pathologist on the stand right now. He was called by the defense. He's their medical witness, and right now we're in his cross-examination. Okay, so more from Dr. Chris Sperry. Again, that is his cross-examination. Dmitry Gorin, I want to bring you in here because you are a criminal defense attorney yourself. How do you think he's handling this cross?
Well, he's raising reasonable doubt. So any question that's being asked that's simple to answer, such as, hey, don't these injuries look bad, so to speak? He says, well, without all the facts, sort of yes, but when you look at everything, you know, maybe there's a problem here. My concern, if I was the defense lawyers, is if he's being asked to concede that these are bad injuries, just say, yes, they're bad injuries without, you know, hemming and hawing, but argue that, wait a minute, we have an alternative explanation for why they're accidental. But even to simple questions, he's got to be so verbose that I think it affects his credibility, because he doesn't look like a simple question can be answered by him without going on and on. So the jury's looking at him and thinking, wait a minute, he's here just to help the defense. He's not being honest.
Do you think he's doing a good job of conveying his answers? I know you said he's kind of wishy-washy a little bit.
I don't think so. I think jurors are looking to see if they believe the person. You have these horrendous injuries on a dead child. He's got to be amazingly credible to raise reasonable doubt, and he's hemming and hawing with all his answers. There's so much verbiage, I think you just tune out with what he's saying.
Right. All right. Well, Kirk, what do you think so far? I mean, this is what we've been waiting for him to be under cross, and is he getting taken down here?
Well, it's very interesting to follow up on Dmitry's point. He is kind of hemming and hawing, but the prosecution, who clearly they did their homework, they asked him, well, you had a definitive answer back in 2014 with regards to a similar injury and so forth. So his response was, you know, of course, I don't know the context, so that's why. But it's very interesting that that's what happens when you testify a lot as an expert witness. You know, there's a record of your testimony out there. So, I mean, he's doing his best. He's keeping his composure and so forth. I would agree that he's not really giving the jury anything to latch on to because his answers are not really clear. And, you know, some of this is very difficult to explain away. I would think, given the nature of the injuries to the child, he really would have to have a credible alternate theory of injury.
Okay, so more cross-examination here of Dr. Chris Sperry, and they're talking about the coroner's report right now. And basically, Dr. Sperry says that he doesn't disagree with what the coroner's report said, but he did say there is more to it. So why is the prosecutor, the prosecutor asking him this question? What's he trying to get at with that, Kirk?
So I thought it was very interesting. Here are the prosecutor asked the witness a series of questions, and having the witness basically attest to the reliability of the coroner, the reliability of the coroner's work, the fact that the coroner is an expert. I think he was able to elicit from the witness that the coroner is one of only maybe 10 or so folks in the country who are certified, board certified to be pediatric pathologists. So I thought that was very interesting, and to get the other side's witness to say that, you know, the author of the report that is very, very favorable to your side is credible. I thought it was a very good tactic. The prosecutor here is very methodical and seems to have planned very well with regards to his cross-examination.
And Dmitry, your take on this so far, specifically about that coroner's report, and is the prosecutor really just trying to get, him to verify his case?
He's using the defense expert to confirm some of their points, that you have a reliable coroner that testified for the prosecution, that the coroner is one of the top 10 in the country, one of the few people that are board certified in pediatric pathology, and that the labs and the actual physical observations in the coroner's report he agrees with. He doesn't disagree with. He just disagrees with the conclusion of the woman he just said is reliable and credible and certified. So the prosecution is slowly chipping away at the credibility of the defense case with this examination.
Okay, so more from Dr. Chris Sperry. What we're seeing right now is him being asked a lot of the questions about knowing how it was suggested that Jennifer take Layla to the doctor. And he said that he didn't follow up if she ever went. He did say it was concerning that she didn't take them. So I don't know how effective this is going. I'm going to ask you all for your professional opinions here. Kirk, what do you think so far? I mean, is he just unraveling now?
Well, I would say that from what I see here, the prosecution seems to be getting the defense's witness to testify for them. So laying out, for instance, hey, the defendant was doctor shopping, meaning going from one doctor to another, so you wouldn't see the same doctor more than 2 or 3 times, and they would make a report. Would that be concerning? Yes, it would. When she was asked to, it was suggested that she go to take the daughter to the hospital. She never went. Would that be concerning? Yes, it would. So I was trying to keep track of how many times he was asked, would that be concerning? And he said, yes, it would. I almost lost count. And at some point, the prosecutor even said, and of course, she never spoke to her grandmother about XYZ, and the defense never even objected. So it just seems to me that the prosecution has a leg up here. The prosecutor is very prepared, and the defense witness is testifying truthfully, of course, is not necessarily dropping the ball, but the testimony is not having the effect, I think, that the defense hoped that it would.
Okay, so more from Dr. Chris Sperry. We have to wrap up our discussion here, but before we go, Dmitry, let's hear from you. What do you make of everything you heard today, specifically from this medical witness dealing with the cross-examination as well as when the defense was questioning him? What are your final thoughts?
Well, on direct examination, he did his best to raise reasonable doubt and offer an alternative explanation that, in fact, the injuries were accidental, so the death is accidental. On cross-examination, you then see him admit that a lot of these injuries were concerning, that there wasn't proper medical attention provided, and he even confirmed that the prosecution's expert is a reliable witness. So overall, I think the defense is trying to raise doubt. I don't think they're doing it successfully. I think the prosecution is really tearing apart the defense argument this was accidental.
All right, Dmitry Gorin, criminal defense attorney and former prosecutor, thank you so much for joining us today.
Sure. Thanks for having me.
All right, Kirk, let's get your final thoughts here. We have just about a minute. So what did you think of this medical witness? Yeah,
I would say it just wasn't a great day for the defense, but a point that Dmitry made earlier was they're doing the best they can with what they have. So the deck has been kind of stacked against them from the beginning, given the evidence and all the indicia of abuse and so forth. The doctor, I felt on cross here, just the prosecution getting him to admit that, it still burns in my mind that he said, of course, it looks like this. It could be this. It could be that. And I think that's what the jury is going to hear. So if there was any ground that he was able to move forward during direct, kind of took it back during cross. And certainly the prosecutor seems extremely competent here. And interestingly enough, at least to me, it's not really confrontational. So the prosecutor's kind of getting the witness to admit these things without having to be hostile and confrontational and fight about it and so forth.
Right, it's been a good flow.
Absolutely, and I think that goes a long way with the jury.
All right, Kirk Burkhalter, thank you so much for joining us today. Coming up next is Brian Buckmeyer to continue following these trials here on the Law and Crime Network. Stay with us.